This is the EdExcel GCSE 91 Maths Paper 1, which is a non-calculated paper, and it's a foundation paper from the November 2021 series. Question number 1. We have to write 3/10 as a percentage. So, if we have 3/10, percentage means out of 100, so we want our fraction to be out of 100. From the 10 to the 100 we multiply by 10, and so 3 times by 10 is 30, and so therefore we end up with 30 over 100, which is the same as 30%. Question number 2. We have to write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. You can think of these as temperatures. The smallest number is -10, followed by the -7, followed by the -2, followed by the 0, followed by 1, followed by 8. We have written the numbers in order of size with the smallest first. Question number 3. We have to write 9 over 100 as a decimal. Quite simply, this is the same as 0.09. Question number 4. We have to write 327 to the nearest 10. Well, if I take a look at the tens column, the digit after it, which is a 7, is 5 or greater, so this 2 needs to be moved up to the next digit. So we have 330. Question number 5. We have to write down the value of 7 squared. 7 squared is the same as 7 times 7, which is 49. Question number 6 for part A. We have to write down the mathematical name of this quadrilateral. Well, two sides are parallel to each other. We've got 4 sides, and so we have a trapezium. Then for part B, we have to write down the mathematical name of this 3D shape. We have a circle which has been extruded, and so we have a cylinder. Question number 7. £42 is shared equally between 3 friends. How much does each friend get? Well, we've got this £42, and if I share it between 3 people, I would have to divide by 3, so each person gets £40. So we have £14. Question number 8. Grace recorded the eye colour of each of the students in her class. The frequency table shows her results: 10 blue, 15 brown, 4 green. Grace then drew the bar chart below for this information, and what we have to do is write down one thing that is wrong with this bar chart. Well, if I take a look at brown, that's 15. Here, brown has been shown at 16 instead. And so when we come to write down one thing that's wrong with this bar chart, the bar for brown should be 15, not 16. Question number 9. Danny buys 1 loaf of bread for £1.20, 1 bottle of milk for 70p, and 2 packets of cheese for £2.30 each packet. Danny pays with a £10 note. He says, I should get £3.30 in change. Is Danny correct? You must show how you get your answer. Well, what is the cost? The cost, we've got 1 loaf of bread, which is £1.20, a bottle of milk, which is 70p, or £0.70, and 2 packets of cheese. So here we would have 2 multiplied by, and then each packet of cheese is £2.30. So I multiply 2 by £2.30. And if I work out all of this, it turns out I get £6.50. And so therefore, for the change Danny should expect, we've got £10 takeaway, £6.50, which is £3.50. What he got was 330, and because this does not equal the 330, what we can therefore conclude is Danny is incorrect. Question number 10. Rachel records the temperature in her garden at noon each day. On Monday, the temperature was 5 degrees C. On Tuesday, the temperature was 10 degrees less than the temperature on Monday. On Wednesday, the temperature was 3 degrees greater than the temperature on Tuesday. We have to find the difference between the temperature on Monday and the temperature on Wednesday. You must show all of your working. Well, on Monday, the temperature is 5 degrees C. On Tuesday, the temperature is 10 degrees less than the temperature on Monday, so we have 5 degrees subtract 10 degrees, which is negative 5 degrees C. And then on Wednesday, the temperature on Wednesday is 3 degrees greater than the temperature on Tuesday, so we've got this negative 5 degrees, which is the temperature on Tuesday, and then we add to this 3 degrees, which is the temperature on Tuesday. And so we end up with negative 2 degrees C. And so therefore, the difference is the difference between 5 and negative 7. 5 subtract negative 7, rather 5 subtract negative 2, that's 7. And so therefore, we have 7 degrees C. Question number 11. The pictogram shows information about the number of video games sold in a shop on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And we've got this key. 4 little squares represents 8 video games. For part A, how many games were sold on Monday? Well, we have 8, 16. Then, more games were sold on Tuesday than on Wednesday. How many more? Well, on Monday, we've got 16. Tuesday, we've got 8, 16. And then each little one will equal 2. So we've got 2, 4, 6, plus the 16, which is 22. And here we've got 8 plus 2, which is 10. And so the difference between 22 and 10 tells us how many more games were sold on Tuesday than on Wednesday. And so therefore, 22 take away 10 gives 12, so we have 12. Then, on Thursday and Friday, a total of 32 games were sold in the shop. 1/4 of these 32 games were sold in the shop on Thursday. We have to complete the pictogram. Well, on Thursday, we've got 1/4 of 32, which is 8. So, for Thursday, we've got 8, and therefore for Friday, we've got 32, take away 8, which is 24. So, we've got 8, and then 24. So, here is the pictogram for Thursday. Here is the pictogram for Friday. Question number 12. There are 2 drama groups in a school. In one group, there are 36 boys and 48 girls. In the other group, 3/7 of the students are boys and the rest of the students are girls. Anne says the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls is the same for both groups. Is Anne correct? You must show how you get your answer. Well, if we take a look at this first group, we'll call it Group A. We've got 36 boys and 48 girls. So the ratio of boys to girls, we have 36 to 48. And we can simplify this by dividing by 6. And if I divide by 6, we end up with 6 to 8. And if I simplify this even further, we end up with 3 to 4. Now, if I take a look at group B, the other group, three-sevenths of the students are boys and the rest of the students are girls. So, girls over here, well, we've got 3/7 which are boys, and therefore we would have 4/7 which are girls. And so therefore the ratio of boys to girls is 3 to 4. And so therefore, is Anne correct? Well, of course, they're the same. So therefore Anne is correct. Question number 13 for part A. We have a number sequence which starts 1, 2, 4. Emma says that the next term is 7. Explain why Emma may be correct. Well, to go from the 1 to the 2, I add 1. To go from the 2 to the 4, I add 2. And so, here I would add 3 to get 7. So that's one possible way it could work. And so when we come to write down a reasonable explanation, the sequence is going +1, +2, and so on and so forth. And so the next term is +3. Then for the next part, here are the first 4 terms of a sequence of triangle numbers. We've got 1, 3, 6, and 10. We have to work out the 8th term. Well, with triangle numbers, here's the first one. For the second one, we've got 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. We form a triangle. For the next one, we've got 6, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For the next one, 10, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we form a triangle from this. Like so. And so for the 8th one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then here, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then 36. And so what we will end up with is 36. Question number 14. 3 kilograms of carrots cost £1.80. 2 kilograms of carrots and 5 kilograms of potatoes cost a total of £3.45. You have to work out the total cost of 4 kilograms of carrots and 2 kilograms of potatoes. You must show all of your working. Well, here we've got, for the carrots, we've got, let's write this down, for the carrots, we've got 3 kilograms, which is equal to £1.80, and so therefore 1 kilogram is equal to a third of this, which is 60p. And to do this, what I did was I divided by 3. Now, we know that 2 kilograms of carrots and 5 kilograms of potatoes cost a total of £3.45. So first of all, let's calculate the cost of 2 kilograms of carrots. That's going to equal £1.20. And the reason this works is because from 1 kilogram to 2 kilograms are times by 2. And so therefore, for 4 kilograms, because that's what we need to work out, if I times by 2 again, 4 kilograms costs £2.40. So that's the cost of 4 kilograms. Now, I've got 2 carrots and 5 potatoes. Well, 2 kilograms worth of carrots and 5 kilograms worth of potatoes equaling £3.45. And I know that 2 carrots is worth £1.20. So I've got £1.20 plus 5 potatoes equals £3.45. And if I subtract £1.20 from both sides, we've got 5 potatoes equaling £2.25. And now if I divide both sides by 5, we have 1 potato equaling 2.25 divided by 5, which is 0.45. And so therefore, we know that in terms of potatoes, 1 kilogram is 45p. And what we need to work out the cost of is 2 kilograms worth of potatoes. So for 2 kilograms, I need to multiply by 2, and it turns out I get 90p. And so therefore, the total cost, we've got over here 4 kilograms, which is 240, plus the 90p. And it turns out here, when I add these together, I get £3.30. So I end up with £3.30. Question number 15. For part A, we have to expand 2 times by a plus d. 2 times by a is 2a. 2 times by d is 2d. Then for part B, we have to factorise 6y squared minus 5y. Well, nothing's common in terms of the numbers, but in terms of the letters, y belongs to both, and then inside the brackets we'd have 6y, subtract 5. This expands to give 6y squared minus 5y. Then for part C, we have to solve 4x minus 7 equals 37. Well, if I add 7 to both sides, then we have 4x equaling 44, and therefore if I divide both sides by 4, that means x is equal to 11. So x is equal to 11. Question number 16. ABCD is a kite, and here we've got AB being 4x minus 2 centimeters, and then Jasper says that x could be 0.5, and we have to explain why Jasper cannot be correct. Well, if x is 4.5, then 4 times 0.5 subtract 2 is the same as 2 subtract 2, which is 0. And so therefore, AB equals 4 times by 0.5 subtract 2, which is equal to 0. Which is impossible. Then for part B, AD is equal to 3AB, and the kite has got a perimeter of 64 centimeters. We have to find the value of x. Well, if I've got AD equaling 3AB, that means here I've got 3 times by 4x minus 2. And also here I've got 3 times by 4x minus 2, and here I've got 4x minus 2. So I know that the perimeter is equal to 64. So I've got 4x minus 2 plus 4x minus 2 plus 3 times by 4x minus 2 plus another 3 times by 4x minus 2. And I know that all of this is equal to 64. So I've got 4x minus 2 plus another 4x minus 2, and then I'm going to add on to this 12x minus 6 and another 12x minus 6, and I get 64. 4x plus 4x is 8x, plus another 12x is 20x, plus another 12x, that's 32x. Minus 2 is minus 4, subtract another 6 is minus 10, and another 6 from that, that's minus 16. And it turns out here I get 64. So, if I continue to work out what this is, what we have is, well, if I add 16 to both sides, then 64 plus 16, that's 80, so I get 32x equals 80. And then if I divide both sides by 32, the 32's cancel here and here. So I'm left with x equals 80 divided by 32, which is 2.5. And so I end up with x equals 2.5. Question number 17. Heidi wants to make some biscuits using this recipe. For 12 biscuits, we require 125 grams of butter, 200 grams of flour, and 50 grams of sugar. Heidi thinks that she has 500 grams butter, 700 grams flour, 250 grams sugar. Assuming that these weights are correct, for part A we have to work out the greatest number of biscuits Heidi can make. You must show all of your working. Well, what we need to do is find out how many of these 125 grams fit in the 500 grams, how many of the 200 grams fit in the 700 grams, and how many of the 50 grams fit in the 250 grams. So if we consider the butter, then we have 500 divided by 125, and it turns out here we get 4. Next, if we consider flour, then we have 700 divided by 200, which is 3.5, and if we consider sugar, then we have 250 divided by 50, and if I work out what this is, we get 5. So we are limited by the flour. We can make 3.5 times the 12 biscuits with these ingredients, and so 3.5 times by 12, that's equal to 42, so we can make 42 biscuits. Then Heidi is wrong. She has more than 250 grams of sugar. Does this affect the greatest number of biscuits Heidi can make? Give a reason for your answer. Well, we are limited by the flower, and that is the critical value. And so therefore, it doesn't affect the number of biscuits she can make because flour is the critical value. Question number 18. On the grid below, we have to draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 2 for values of x between minus 2 and 3. Well, what we need to do is create a table of values. Here we have our table from minus 2 to 3. Now, our y-intercept, that's given by minus 2. So our y-intercept is minus 2. We know our gradient is 2, and to go from one value to the next, we add 2 each time. And so here, our gradient tells us to go from one value to the next, we add 2 each time. And so therefore, minus 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Something plus 2 is minus 2, well here we'd have minus 4. And something plus 2 is minus 4, so that will be minus 6. And so what we need to do is plot these values. So, when x is minus 2, y is minus 6. When x is minus 1, y is minus 4. When x is 0, y is minus 2. When x is 1, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 2. And when x is 3, y is 4. And so what we need to do at this point is join these up with a straight line. And so here we have the graph y equals 2x minus 2. Question 19. Robin buys a watch for £80. He sells the watch for £56. We have to work out his percentage loss. Well, first of all, let's find out what the loss is. He buys his watch for £80. He sells it for £56, and so the difference between these is his loss, which is 24. And so therefore, the percentage loss, we've got the loss 24 divided by the original amount, which is 80, and then we have to multiply this by 100 to convert it into a percentage. Well, 24 divided by 80, that's 3/10. So we have 3/10 multiplied by 100, which is equal to 30%. So therefore the percentage loss is 30%. Question number 20. For part A, we have to work out 3.67 times 4.2. We can do this by using the grid method. We have rewritten 3.67 as 3, 0.6 and 0.07, and the 4.2 is rewritten as 4 and 0.2. Now let's multiply. 4 times by 3 is 12, 4 times 0.6 that's 2.4. 4 times 0.07, that's 0.28. 0.2 times 3 is 0.6. 0.2 times 0.6, that's 0.12. 0.2 times 0.07, that's 0.014. We now need to add all these together. So we've got the 12, the 2.4, the 0.28, the 0.6, the 0.12, and the 0.014. All of this needs to be added together. So we will add all of this together. And so here we have 4, 8, 2 and 1. That gives 11, so we carry the 1 here. 1, 4, 2, 6, 1 and 0 added together. That gives 14, so we have the 4 over here. And then we carry the 1. 1, 2, 2 and the zeros. That gives 5. And then we've got the 1 over here. And so therefore, when we add all this together, we end up with 15.414 as our final answer. Next, we have to work out 59.84 divided by 1.6. There are a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to write this as a fraction. We've got 59.84 divided by 1.6. And so, working this out, let's multiply by 100 to get rid of the decimals. We have 5,984 divided by 160. And then, because we've got even numbers here, we can divide the top and bottom by 2. So we get 2,992 divided by 80. Again, we've got even numbers, so divide the top and bottom by 2. So we've got 1,496 divided by 40. And then, again, we've got even numbers, so we can divide the top and bottom by 2. So we've got 748 divided by 20. Again, even numbers. Divide top and bottom by 2, so we have 374 divided by 10. And that's quite straightforward to work out. We get 37.4. Question number 21. We've got a set of numbers which are less than 19. With A, we've got 6, 12 and 18, and with B, we've got 2, 6, 14 and 18. We have to complete the Venn diagram for this information. Well, if I've got even numbers less than 19, the possible numbers I could have, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 and 18. These are even numbers less than 19. So, first of all, we need to take a look at what belongs to both. Well, 6 goes in A and B, So we have 6 going in A and B. And we also have 18 in both A and B. So we have 18 in A and B. And so what goes in A only, that's 12. So let's cross off the 12 from here. What goes in B only? Well, we've got the 2. Let's cross that off. And we've also got the 14. So let's cross that off. We've used the 6 and we've used the 18. So the rest of the numbers, we've got 4, 8, 10, and 16. We have completed the Venn diagram. Question number 22, we have to work out 4 1/5, subtract 2 2/3, giving our answer as a mixed number. Well, let's convert these. 4 1/5, well, I've got 4 times 5 plus 1 divided by 5. And with this, I subtract 2 2/3. So I've got 2 times the 3 plus the 2 divided by 3. Now let's work this out. 21 divided by 5, subtract 8 thirds. Now if I rewrite this, so I've got a common denominator of 15, well, from 5 to 15 are times by 3, so 21 times 3 is 63. From the 3 to the 15 are times by 5, 8 times by 5 is 40. So now, if we subtract these, 63 take away 40, that's 23. So I've got 23 over 15. Now what we are doing over here is questioning how many times does 15 go into 23? Well, it goes in there 1 whole time, and what's left over is 8. So I've got 1 whole and 8/15, which is my final answer. And so what we end up with is 1 whole and 8/15. Question number 23. At the end of 2017, the value of Tamara's house was £220,000. The value of Raheem's house was £160,000. At the end of 2019, the value of Tamara's house had decreased by 20%. The value of Raheem's house had increased by 30%. At the end of 2019, whose house had the greater value? You must show how you get your answer. Well, what we need to do is find out the value at the end of 2019 for both of them. Now let's first of all take a look at Tamara. We need to work out 20% of 220,000 and then subtract that value from 220,000. Now it's easier if we begin with 10%. 10% of 220,000, that's equal to 22,000. And so therefore 20% of 220,000 is equal to double this, which is 44,000. £1,000. And so therefore, to find out what 20% of 220,000 is, we have 220,000 subtract 44,000, and it turns out in 2019 the value of her house is £176,000. Now if I take a look at Raheem's house, well, I first of all need to calculate 30%, and we can do that by working out what 10% is. 10% of £160,000, that's equal to £16,000. And so therefore 30% of £160,000, that's equal to £48,000. Now if his house increased by 30%, we've got £160,000 plus the £48,000, and it turns out we have £208,000. So whose house had the greater value? Well, we can conclude over here, we can conclude that Raheem's house had the greater value. Question 24. Rosie, Matilda and Ibrahim collected stickers. The ratio of the number of stickers Rosie has to the ratio of the number of stickers Matilda has to the number of stickers Ibrahim has is 47 to 15. Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda. Ibrahim has more stickers than Rosie. How many more? Now, to do this question, I think using the bar model is the most useful method. So here we've got a visual representation of their ratios, R to M to I, that's 4 to 7 to 15, and we know that Ibrahim has 24 more stickers than Matilda, so the difference between Matilda and Ibrahim is 24, so this over here is equal to 24. So if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equaling 24, then each one will be worth 3. And what we need to do is calculate the difference between M and I. Rather, we need to calculate the difference between R and I. And that will be given by this difference over here. And this difference, well, if each one is worth 3, then this entire difference will equal 3 multiplied by 11, which is 33. So we have 33 more stickers. Question number 25. The diagram shows a prism, as we see here. The cross-section of the prism is a right-angled triangle. The base of the triangle has length 5 centimeters. The prism has a length of 25 centimeters, and the prism has a volume of 750 centimeters cubed. We have to work out the height of the prism. Well, what we can do is find out the cross-sectional area. The cross-sectional area shown here is equal to 750, which is the volume, divided by the length of the prism, which is 25, and it turns out the cross-sectional area is equal to 30 centimeters squared. How do I work out the area of a triangle? Well, that's given by 1/2 times by the base, which is 5, times by the height. Now the height of this prism let's call it H. This is all equal to 30. And so if I multiply through by 2, I've got 5h, which is 60. H is equal to 12. So I get 12 centimeters for the height of the prism. Question number 26. The diagram shows a cube with edges of length x centimeters and a sphere of radius 3 centimeters. The surface area of the cube is equal to the surface area of the sphere. We're given that the surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r squared, and we have to show that x is equal to the square root of k pi, where k is an integer. Well, what is the surface area of the cube? Well, the surface area of the cube, each face will equal x squared. And then we need to multiply it by 6. We've got 6 faces. So the surface area of the cube is 6x squared. We can now find out the surface area of the sphere. The surface area of the sphere, we've got 4 pi times by the radius, which is 3, squared. And so therefore the surface area is 36 pi. We know that the surface area of the sphere is equal to the surface area of the cube. And so therefore we have 6x squared equaling 36 pi. X squared is equal to 6 pi. X is equal to square root of 6 pi. And so therefore, the value of k we require is 6. Question number 27. Freddie measured the length of a pencil as 7.2 centimeters, correct to 1 decimal place. We have to complete the error interval for the length p centimeters of the pencil. Well, our lower bound is 7.15 and our upper bound is 7.25. Question 28. The equation of a straight line L is y equals 3 minus 4x. We have to write down the gradient of L. Well, for a straight line, we've got y equals mx plus c, which is the form of an equation of a straight line. M over here would represent the gradient, and c would represent the y-intercept. So, if we have y equals 3 minus 4x, through commutativity we can rewrite this as y equals minus 4x plus 3. And so the gradient over here then will equal negative 4. Then we have to write down the coordinates of the point where L crosses the y-axis. Well, that's the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 3, and so where it crosses the y-axis, the x-coordinate will be 0, but the y-coordinate will be 3. And so the point where it crosses the y-axis is 0, 3.